भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So, we'll give you the mic. Choose the mic.
Swamini, thank you so much for your discourse the last 2 days. I have 2 questions on the 2 topics that you were mentioning this morning. One is the subtle body, and the other one is the what is that? Shabda.
So first,
Samadhi.
First
Samadhi,
ask just one question.
Okay. So there is a popular misconception among everybody about reincarnation. So if the subtle body is the only one that goes, from place to place, and the soul doesn't move, why do people say that it is reincarnation? Is that a misnomer, or people think that the person is reincarnating into somebody? Suppose there is some unfinished prarabdha in people, say father or mother or somebody, and it falls on the descendants to complete the work. Does it mean that there is reincarnation, or does it mean that the subtle body is the one that is traveling?
Along with the subtle body, Jivatma is traveling. Atma identified with the subtle body, that is called Jivatma. Atma or consciousness identified with the subtle body is called Jivatma. So when subtle body goes, Jivatma also goes. Subtle body is not just matter here. Along with that, it is reflected consciousness in the subtle body. So that travels, which means all your unfinished tasks, all your desires. What you mean by reincarnation, I don't know, but another janma is there. If by reincarnation you mean another birth, then definitely for this Jivatma, another birth is there. In fact, he is traveling. Now only the physical body will change. This physical body in which he was so far, that is no more there. But still, he has desires, he has his karmas, all that still will push him elsewhere. And the same Jivatma will be reborn.
Okay, so just to make everything clear, the subtle body is composed of all his desires and unfinished perceptions
then
and all that.
For all this, his sense organs, mind, vital air, all of that is given. So that is there with him.
But how can you say that the person has reincarnated?
Why the same person, not the same person? Means the one who was there in this body, that same Jivatma is now going somewhere else.
But only the feelings and the perceptions, only the subtle body moves, right? Only the...
Subtle body is just one kind of costume. Just as gross body was one kind of costume. This is subtle, you don't see. But this is where all his ignorance is, all his vasanas are, all the karmas that he has performed in all the past lives, all of that is in the form of the antakarana. All of that is stored there in the subtle body. You understand?
Yeah, but that will perish when the body goes.
No, that is not perished. That's what I am saying. Only the body dies. If that perishes, very good. But that doesn't perish. Only the gross body dies. The subtle doesn't die. There is no death for subtle body unless knowledge takes place. Unless knowledge takes place, subtle body doesn't die, which means the Jivatma goes from place to place. He has been going from place to place. And body is just given to fulfill the desires, to carry out new karmas, new actions. The body is given. But when the karmas of that particular body are over, then he has to find a new costume. Only the dress is changed. The person, the Jivatma remains the same. And each and every subtle body, when he is born, when the child is born, he is born with all this history. With the baggage he is born. And that is why moment he is 2, 2.5, then things start coming out. His nature, everything starts coming out. So, he is not, that is not a clean slate. So in the same family, and why everybody will be different? Because everybody has different baggage. Everybody has different samskaras. 2 siblings also, 2 identical twins are also not same. They only look similar. Their natures may be quite different. Because they have both come from different places. Understand?
Other part is Shabdanu with the Samadhi. So, is that the same as affirmations, what they call, plain English? Affirmations, repeatedly, if you just affirm a line, affirm something, then, you go into focusing on that part. And do you believe in affirmations?
No, I have not much heard about this affirmation, but I can explain to you the Shabdanuvitta, that with the help of the Shabda, and Shabda is not here not meaningless Shabda. The meaning of the Shabda will lead you to Atma, that kind of Shabda. The meanings of the words will itself lend you to Atma, because the meaning of those words will be Atma or Brahman or Shanti or Ananda, something. Say for instance, I say Ananda. So Ananda means Atma. Brahman means Atma. Atma itself, but provided you know the meanings. When it is said Nirgunaha. So this word Nirgunoham, I am Nirgunaha. If you know the meaning of this, and when you are listening to Vedanta classes and all that, so many Upanishads words are being used. So then when those words are uttered, even mantra can be uttered. Ishavasyamidam sarvam, sarvam khalu idam brahma, aham brahmasmi, soham, saha aham, aham saha. So these are all these words are helpful. You repeat these words in the mind, but not mechanical repetition. The meaning has to strike in you. And when the meaning strikes, then you may, saha aham, I am that. I am full. The more prepared you are, the less help you need. And less prepared you are, more help you need. So with each word, you become silent. So the meaning of the word is setting in. Then you need not repeat the word. It will on its own drop away. And you should drop it also. Lord Krishna also says, Na kinchidapi chintayet. When the mind becomes quiet, Atma samstam manah krutva, Bhagavan says, Atma samstam manah krutva. When the Atma Samstam, when the make your mind abide in the Atma, means if it happens, all restlessness goes. Most of the time we think is out of restlessness. Just mind has no other business. It keeps going from one to other. But when all that stops, Manakrutva, when the mind has become quiet, don't start another thought. Don't get up. Don't take up some activity. Na kinchidapi chintayet. Lord Krishna says at that time, don't think. Now, just be in what is. Grasp what is. Means you already are that. Now, understand that. More and more, get familiar with that. Nidityasanam is nothing but getting familiarity with one's own self. We are not familiar today. And that is why it is taking time. We have to become more and more familiar with ourselves. And for that it is getting to know Atma better. That is what we have to do. That is what we do with different things. It can be, even it need not be only just Shabda and Drishya. You can be looking at Ishvara's form also. You can look at Ishvara's form like Krishna, Shiva, whoever is your Ishta Devata. And then mind fills you with all the devotion and all purity. And it becomes quiet. Because the reality of Krishna is your reality. But in the beginning you may need some support. In the beginning some activity is required. So you look at him. Remember what all he has done. All Leelas. That is why Bhagavatam is there. Bhagavatam is written only for this. So that we come to know about what all Bhagavan has done in all his 10 avatars. Whatever he has done. Ramayana is for that. So that you think of Rama and all that he has done. He lived his life. He was an ideal man. So this fills up your mind with all love, with all devotion. Then slowly that is also not required. You can be doing a japa also. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. I surrender unto Shiva. Shiva is who? Ishvara. Nothing but Atma. Nothing but Brahman. So Namaha. Namaha means I surrender. I surrender my ego unto him. So when you know the meaning of the mantra also, when you know the meaning of the japa that you are doing, then you can, after some time, the japa itself being very powerful. Mantra itself is powerful. So you are repeating that. Your mind is filled with purity. And then you stop the mantra. First of all, you are repeating Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, that is going on. And then slowly you increase the gap between two mantras. Om Namah Shivaya. Then after some time, leave some space. Then Om Namah Shivaya. Then again leave lot of gap. And then Om Namah Shivaya. So in that gap, you can see that from silence, that is Atma, this mantra, word, Shabda, Om Namah Shivaya has come. Then again, same thought will come. If different thoughts come, then also mind has the tendency to run to different things. But by japa of the same mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, or anything, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or Ganganapataye Namaha, whatever you are taking that, then you see that from silence it came, again in silence it is going, again the mantra comes, keep on doing that. Then a time will come, then mantra will drop. But enlarge the gap in between. That gap is not shunyam. That gap in between is not void. It is not nothingness. It is nothing but consciousness. So japa is also Shabdanuvidya only. Japa is Shabdanuvidya. This can be done in so many other ways. You can be doing puja also. Do some puja. Worship, physical worship of Ishvara. Then slowly start withdrawing. Take some mantra and withdraw. So physically also, when you were doing puja, you were with Ishvara, with purity. Then mantra, also purity. Then all this helps the mind to get absorbed in the reality. These are all big help. Here only two things are mentioned, Shabdanuvidya and Drishyanuvidya. But different things we can do. Whichever mantra helps us, looking at whichever form helps us. Sometimes nature does for someone. For someone, Bhagavan's going to temple does. Going to a quiet place does. Everything can fill up the mind with purity. You know, it can be difficult in a marketplace in the beginning. It may be difficult. In the parties, proper atmosphere is required. Perhaps a time may come that also may not be required. You become expert. It will come in our discussion tomorrow in the verses. That in course of time you become expert. But in the beginning, proper step is required.
Yeah, I have a question regarding this same thing. So, this is about abiding to the Atma and getting to the place where you just be. But to me, so far, it looks like the life is a series of challenges. You will not find a person who has not faced any challenge, and it's a series of challenges. It's not like I have few challenges and then everything is going nice in my life. So, every now and then we face the challenge. Life is itself series of challenges. That's what I understand from. So being is one part, but then you have to express, you have to respond to the challenge. And Bhagavad Gita says one place, Yadruchya upapannam swargadaram apavritam. He says swargadaram apavritam. Yadruchya upapannam swargadaram apavritam. The Krishna says to Arjuna that whatever challenge you have got it, just take it as a challenge and think of it as a door to the heaven. So Krishna seems in the Bhagavad Gita, he's asking to take the challenge head on and get through it and think of it as a gateway to heaven. So this is contradictory, right? One is being, putting an effort to get to the being, abide into Atma, and one on the other side is responding to the challenges of life, which demands expression, which demands taking up the challenge and doing something for it. So, yeah, it's a little contradictory. I'm not getting exactly when to do what. So in the Ekantkal, right, I can set like half an hour for meditation, and go into the meditation, go into the samadhi. That is probably akin to abiding into Atma. But then when I come out, when I'm in the real world, because life is a challenge, series of challenge, so I have to respond to the challenge, take it up head on, whatever. And that's what he says. I can recite that's again yadrichaya, means that which has come automatically, chaupapannam swargadvaram
yadrichaya chopapannam swargadvaram apavritam sukhinah kshatriya partha labante yuddhamidrisham.
Yeah. So
see, listen, what you are saying. See, everybody doesn't have, for the beginners, things are different. And for those who are well advanced in life towards their goal, what we are now talking about is meditation for those who have done lot of shravanam, lot of mananam and all that. Yes, for the beginners too. You do definitely face the challenges in life. Perform your duties in the right way. Don't run away. We are not saying that you should run away from life. Do whatever you have to do, but that should not stop you from knowing the self. Bhagavan is giving the knowledge of the Atma to Arjuna. At the same time, he is telling that perform your duties. Performing the duties does not come in the way of knowledge. In fact, it will help you. With the right attitude, when you perform your duties, your heart will be pure, antakarana will be pure, and you will come closer to the self. So it is not contradictory.
Yeah, just one more question. I forgot the actual in Bhagavad Gita, but it says that Krishna says that abide into me, forget all the dharma, abide into me. It's in the 18th chapter.
Sarva dharman
Parityaja, mamekam sharanam vraja. And he says, you will not get papa will not, you will not bind by anything. You will not incur any pap, and just abide me and go for it. Even though Krishna knows, Arjuna knows that there will be bloodshed, which is, again, I don't know whether how to classify it, righteous or not righteous, but yeah, so...
So finish what you...
Yeah, so when he says that just abide in me, go for it, forget all the dharma, just abide me and go for it, and we know that there is a bloodshed. So it doesn't fit into that ideology of dharma and ethics and all that, because you know already there is a bloodshed. It's a fight. Bhagavad Gita is almost about fighting, taking challenge and go for it, something like that, which doesn't fit into that.
So what is your question?
My question is, how do I... Sometimes what I feel is that, whatever is the challenge, whether it's... should I think of ethics when I have a challenge in front of me or not? Should I think of ethics when there is a challenge in front of me?
Should I think of what?
Ethics.
Huh?
Ethics.
Ethics. Okay.
Ethics and righteousness when there is a challenge in front of, because Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja, forget all the dharma. This is the challenge. Keep me in mind.
You have to study Gita properly. You on your own, you cannot just take a word and interpret. What is meant by dharma over there, what is meant by give up all this and all. All this has to be properly understood. When Lord Krishna is saying, give up everything and come to him, he doesn't say that you give up your duties. He is not saying that. Perform your duties in the right way. Perform it with the right attitude. Never give up dharma. Dharma, he has never asked that you give up dharma.
Yes. Words is same exactly. Sarva dharman parityaja.
Dharma, there it means that give up all your other attachments and everything, you give up and come to me. He is not saying that you give up your duties and everything. Give up all other concerns and take refuge in me. In me means he doesn't talk of Lord Krishna only. He talks of the Atma. You take refuge in that, in the reality.
Okay. And just last question. When Sanjay after Bhagavad Gita, and Sanjay tells that wherever there is Arjuna and Krishna, then he mentions what will happen. Vibhuti and 3-4 things, Sri, Vibhuti, all that. Those are all materialistic things. Vibhuti is fame and name.
Everybody is not spiritual in the sense that people want material things also. People want that in life. And what is meant there is, wherever yatra yogeshwaraha Krishnaha, yatra partho dhanurdhara.
Yeah.
Where Partha is there, but dhanurdhara Partha, which means that where you are ready to do your hard work, where you are ready for purushartha. And Bhagwan's grace is also there. Lord's, when the prayers are there, dharma is there, devotion for Bhagavan is there, and effort is there. Effort is also there. Acknowledgement of Bhagavan is also there. Prayers are there. Dharma, righteousness is also there. Then you are not going wrong. There sooner or later, everything will come. What will come? Wealth will come.
Right.
Wealth is not a bad thing. Wealth will come, name will come, fame will come. But all this is gained in the right, on the right path. Bhagavan says, my grace plus your effort. When these two meet, then there is nothing but Shrihi. Shrihi means wealth. Not only material wealth. By wealth, I don't understand only material wealth. When the heart is pure, that is a big wealth. When you have purity, when you have truth, when you have non-violence, all these are big wealth. All this will come.
Right. So when Sanjay says Sri Bhuti, Vibhuti and all that, those are on material. He doesn't say that both are there, then you'll get moksha. He doesn't say that. He says 3-4 things which are material.
But this will also lead to moksha sooner or later.
Okay.
The purity is there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again, this is about the subtle body. When the body dies...
Keep it closer to you.
Okay. When the body dies, the gross body dies, where does the subtle body go? Because does it take birth immediately or it has some placeholder?
See, for all this, we have no proof because nobody has gone and verified. But Shastra, according to what Shastra says, Lord Krishna himself says, that sometimes the birth is taken immediately. Birth happens immediately. Or sometimes some time also may be there. We do not know. Because all the rituals which are performed, and then they say for 12 days the jiva is moving around and things, all kinds of things are available. In some Puranas this is said, some Purana other things are said. But even if the person doesn't take birth in the form of a jiva, human being, even then subtle body has some kind of body, even when human form is not there. Then also, if it goes to other lokas, other realms, then the costume will be according to that loka.
Okay. Yeah.
So here the costume is, the human form is made up of 5 elements. Somewhere else only 1 element may be there, 2-3 elements may be there. So different costumes are there. But definitely he goes somewhere. And some kind of costume pertaining to that realm he will get.
And that is also according to the karmas.
Karmas. According to his karmas. If and Bhagavan decides. Sometimes if Bhagavan may do all kinds of settlements also. Bhagavan's grace may come in any way. So he may push certain karmas behind, certain karmas in front. Now all that he is free to do. He is free to do. Because a jiva has performed countless karmas. So it is quite possible that my next life may be full those all papa karmas, all unbecoming actions may be in the front. But if I have earned his grace, it is quite possible that he may push them behind and bring punyas in front because they are also there. All this Ishvara can do. If he wants to rise you, if he wants to help you, and again, his grace will come only when you have done something. So you have to earn that grace. So Ishvara is the final word. He will dispense the result in keeping with my karmas, but ultimate boss is he. So when he says, you take surrender into me, he says, have trust in me. When he says, have trust in me. To Arjuna also he says, don't doubt me, trust me. Because I have taught you everything. Understand that very well. And have trust in me.
Namaste, Swamini. Once the subtle body leaves, then
this subtle body is creating a lot of problems.
what left is the dead body. what left is a dead body once the subtle body leaves. Why do we do the puja of the dead body, which is just a old costume or a old dress?
See, in our culture, actually we are doing karma, pujas for the subtle body only, not for the gross body. But when the body dies, the final karmas, final samskaras are to be done. Final samskaras are also to be done. Because the jiva was here, the samskar is, as you know, when the jiva is, when the woman conceives, at that time also jata karmas are there. So in our culture, there are samskaras at every moment. Every moment means at every stage. When in the womb the jiva comes, that time also, from that time you start doing karmas, samskaras. So every time to purify that. Every time it is being purified. And there is some reason, actually it is done for the one who has passed only, but for the because it is believed that the jiva is still not in the body, but still he is traveling, he is going. So proper samskaras are to be done. After Antyeshti, they call it Antyeshti samskaras. This is there in our culture. And those who are very religious, for 12 days, continuously something or the other is done at home. Because it is believed that it reaches him. It reaches him or her, whoever. Now no more him or her, the jiva. It reaches. Now we can doubt this also. And if we believe, we can do this. There are some people who don't believe in this. They don't, even Shraddha. Shraddha karma also everybody doesn't do. But some believe. And so they do Shraddha every year. Every year it will be done during the Shraddha time. And it supposedly reaches them. For the Pitrus it is done. For the Jivas who have passed, for them also Shraddha is done. He has already gone. We can always ask, how is it going to reach him? We do not know. But it must be reaching. In Ramayana, there is this incident, if you have read it and you know it. When that Jatayu died, when the Jatayu died, then I don't exactly remember, but then afterwards somebody narrates that he found Dasharatha in the heavens. And Dasharatha was very happy to know all this. And even when Rama was being coronated, that time also Dasharatha and everybody were happy. However, he was no more there. He was no more there. But still this is being reported. So in our culture, all this thing is there. It is up to us to believe or not.
Thank you.
But some people say, that heavens is here only and hell is also here. How do you know? How do you know? But we don't want to believe, so we say Svarga is also here and Naraka is also here. Not necessarily. Shastra mentions it clearly that there is a place called Svarga. There are places called Naraka. Many Narakas are there. It is up to us, It is all the kind of trust and shraddha and reverence we have.
I have next question.
Somebody else wanted.
Hari Om Swamiji. So, very general questions like, so samadhi means meditation, right? Like both of them, savikalpa and
Nirvikalpa and savikalpa.
And do we have to do this meditation every day, or like that Nididhyasanam?
Ideally, as much as you can. Ideally. If you have time, if you have an inclination, ideally. Because it helps, no? If there are some students, like Nachiketa, they may not need any meditation. Because moment it was said, you are Brahman and you are this, and the knowledge it very well sank in him. So Shravanam itself was enough. His understanding changed. I am not a Jiva, I am Brahman. But everybody may not be that ready.
Yes.
So, depends. We have to decide how much we need it. If we forget, if all this knowledge remains only in the class, and then we forget, then we have to decide how to do it, how much time to give. All this depends upon us.
So basically, this is a best kind of meditation, right? Like if best kind of
There
meditation.
are two types of meditations. In one, the object of meditation is different from you. In one kind of meditation, the object of meditation, say Ishvara, or say Yantra is there. So many people meditate upon so many other things. There the object is different from you. And there your aim is not Advaita. You just want to please Ishvara. You are devoted to them. So all the while you are thinking of Ishvara. You don't want any union with Ishvara. I mean, that knowledge of Advaita everybody doesn't want. So that is different meditation. Where the Bhagavan or someone whom you are meditating upon is different. Whereas this which we are talking of, that is called Nididhyasanam, where you are meditating upon the very nature of the meditator and trying to abide in that and trying to remove all the obstacles in forms of notions in doing that. That is different. That is called Nididhyasanam. Whereas that one is Dhyanam. Every time this kind of, you may not use Nididhyasanam every time, you can use Dhyanam also, meditation, but there are these two types.
Okay. Also the Om Namah Shivaya, we don't have to worry about the count, right? Like the meditation.
You don't have to worry about?
Like 108 times you have to do japa.
No, you can do that. You can, why not? There is a meaning behind that. So you can do that. The people do that so many times, so many lakhs of mantras they do. And they also have effect. They have an effect in purifying the mind.
The method you were saying, right? You say it and give gap and then do it. In that time, it's hard to remember the number.
Yeah, then it need not be.
No.
Need not be. Otherwise, mind will be occupied with that.
Yes.
So you can leave that aside, but give more gap.
Okay.
That can be done.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Namaste, Swamini. Now, we read in the life history of Narsi Mehta, the Kungrabed, they had to do Mameru, and Narsi Mehta was busy doing the bhajan. So the Krishna came and brought all the things and did the Mameru. So does really God come like that, or how did that happen?
It happens. We require the devotion. We require the devotion of the type of Narsi Mehta. Narsi Mehta's all the problems and challenges of his life were solved by him. He never bothered. He never went to earn any money. Right. Whenever he tried, he was fooled by others. So, but all the problems. See, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Which means what? Lord Krishna, such a stage can also come in life. When, however hard you try, you are not just available for any worldly things. Your mind is totally all the time in Bhagavan only. then nothing, there is such people. There may be such people, such devotees. They cannot do anything. They cannot go to earn money. They cannot fulfill any duties in life also. There are some such crazy devotees also. Bhagavan says, don't worry. Bhagavan says, gives promises. Ananyaha chintayanto ye mam. One who with just one track mind. For whom there is nothing but Bhagavan. For such devotees, tesham nityabhiyuktanam, who are all the time just thinking of me, reveling in me, getting absorbed in me, for their yoga and kshema. Yoga means whatever they don't have to procure that. And kshema means what you have to protect. What you don't have, you get it. And what you have to protect. These are the two things. Bhagavan says, I handle that. They need not worry. Like, in the olden days, the kings used to give patronage. They used to give patronage, which means we will give money to singers and such people, panditas. Government used to take care of them. They need not bother. Artists need not bother about earning money. King will manage all that. Similarly, Bhagavan says that I will take care of whatever he wants. Wants means his livelihood will be run by me. He need not be bothered. And this is what exactly happened in Narsi Mehta's life. He was such a bhakta that all his problems, he never went to earn money. His daughter's marriage, son's marriage, everything was handled by Bhagavan. Bhagavan only did everything. In fact, he became mother, father, everything. The Narsi Mehta is busy singing bhajan.
So in this case, when we say Bhagavan means the consciousness.
No, he comes with a form. Consciousness, yes, but avatara. He comes in certain form. He can do anything. Who can create this whole creation cannot take one form.
So when you say Bhagavan, in one of the 10 incarnations we talk about Parshuram. Now why Parshuram is called the incarnation of Bhagavan? He all he did was just got rid of all the Kshatriyas, right?
That was perhaps needed at that time. I don't know the full story, but Kshatriyas had become very, very arrogant. So whenever incarnation comes, it is to do some work. It is very clear. Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkrutam, dharma samsthapanarthaya. I will come whenever it is needed. And it's not that he will take big avatara like Ram and Krishna. Small avataras also he takes. So he comes for that purpose, does it. But he is not coming because of the karmas. No, there is no ignorance, no such thing. On his own, out of his own volition, just to carry out the work which is needed, he comes.
Now, just going back to the question of next birth, you say the Ishvara is the ultimate boss. He or she determines. I was thinking of, but I think in your reply you also said there is no guarantee that you will take the human birth, the next birth. But in Gita, Krishna assures Arjuna that while you are on this spiritual track, you or any sadhak who is on spiritual track, if he or she should pass on,
he or she should
die.
Die?
Yeah, no more.
Okay.
Leave the body, or what's a good word for dying?
I didn't understand what you were saying.
I'm saying while you are on the spiritual track, if you should die, what Krishna assures Arjuna is, whatever spiritual progress you have made will not go to waste.
Yes,
right?
Yes, yeah.
In fact, he assures Arjuna that he'll make sure that this sadhak, this devotee, will take a birth as a human and also will be born in a family with very propitious surroundings. that will encourage him to continue his spiritual track. So to me, I interpreted that means, assuming my definition is
No,
the same.
you are right.
Yeah.
Bhagavan does say all this. But for whom? For those who are on this path.
Right.
Bhagavan says clear, nahi kalyana krut kaschita durgatim tata gacchati. One who has done little kalyana, little good things, taken my names, means more on this path, even though they have not advanced, but who have come on this path, for them there is no going back. And they will always go further and further. But when we say that for this does not apply to everyone. This applies only to good people.
Yes.
Definitely to good people. For those who do shubha karmas, good karmas, there is no going back. It is like you have put your foot on the escalator. It will take you up. That is guaranteed. In Bhagavan's words, but having gained this form, if you abuse your free will to hurt others, to snatch away, all papa karmas are done, then there is no guarantee. When I say that, it means when we do not use our free will in the line of dharma.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah, one question on Narad Bhakti Sutra. So Narad starts everything with Narayan, Narayan, ends everything Narayan, Narayan. Seems to be a great devotee. But when he starts, he says Satu Asmin Param Prem Rupa. He doesn't say whether he's talking about Krishna or Narayan or Shiva. This Satu Asmin. So Asmin is, what is Asmin? That is, I don't understand yet, but I'll get the question. So somewhere in between he says, Yatha Vraj Gopika Nam. He's referring to Krishna, how Gopika loves Krishna, something like that. And at the end he says, Ya idam narad proktam Shiva anushashanam. He's talking about Shiva. So it's very difficult to understand. My definition of my exploration is that when you go into meditation, when you abide into Atma or whatever, in that state, when you come out of it, you love that state because it's very tranquility and all that. I might not be too deep down in meditation, but wherever I reached, I feel that is, you should seek after that again. That to me is that Asmin. Satu Asmin Param Rupa. I want to go back there again. I want to meditate again and go back to that state again because that is lovely state. Then that is one, right? Second is he's talking about Yatha Vraj Gopinam, which could be mentioning about the Sagun Brahman, which is in the form of Krishna. And at the end he says, Idam Naradam Broktam Shiva Anushasam Vishwasiddhi Sraddhate, whatever. He's talking about Shiva. So to me, what he's talking about, because in his words, always Narayan, Narayan. He doesn't talk about Krishna, Krishna or any Krishna mantra. He's talking about Narayan. In my exploration, I would like to go back to that state which I am identifying with that state. So Narayan, that state, Shiva or Krishna. Which one he is actually talking?
I have not seen this thing, Shivanushasana, anywhere. But yes, Ya Sa Tasmin Parama Prema Rupa. When he says this is the very first sutra of Narad
Yes.
Bhakti Sutra. What it means is, he is explaining bhakti. What is bhakti? What is devotion? He says Sa means bhakti.
Yes.
Sa tu asmin parama prema rupa. Bhakti means parama prema. In Ishvara.
Asmin means Ishwar.
Ishvara. In Ishvara, parama prema, exalted love. Exalted love in Ishvara is bhakti. This is the definition given by Naradji about bhakti. Okay? And when he says Yata Gopikana,
Yatha Vraj.
which means just as gopis had parama prema for Lord Krishna. That is how he defines love, by giving the example of gopis. That gopis were all fully for him, even though they were all gopis were married and everything, but still all devoted to Lord Krishna. So their love was so exalted that nothing stopped them. And they were totally devoted and surrendered unto Lord.
So when I desire the state that I've experienced in yoga, meditation, the tranquil state which I remember that it was wow, it was awesome. If I desire that state, if I love that state, is that good or am I missing something?
What is good?
Yeah, when I do meditate, then I
Yeah,
get
that
to
is good.
Is that so? How does that? Is that state? Is
See,
Shiva state or Krishna?
everybody, devotees are different. They just want love. They are not interested in dhyanam or jnanam, anything. Gopis are interested in Krishna. That's all. Automatically dhyanam happens for them. In fact, even while milking the cow also, she will be all the time thinking of Krishna. For them it is all different. Everybody doesn't want that. Gopis don't want any knowledge. In fact, when this Uddhav came, Uddhava, friend of Lord Krishna, when he came, Uddhava came to teach this Gopis something. On the contrary, the Gopis taught him. So, everybody is not same. Don't mix devotion and knowledge and everything together. Have it clear in your mind. Anybody else? Any question? It is already 9. So,
Namaste, Swamini.
yes.
Nowadays, I guess every hospital or places, they want one to do a living will. So when somebody gets seriously sick and they are on life support system, then they want to advance directive that whether we should continue like that and how long we should continue or when we should remove it. So it is a decision that somebody is making when hopefully they are in good health and good conscious, that how long they want to continue living like in a reduced state. So is this something okay with
Is
Shastra?
others deciding for you or you deciding for yourself?
You are deciding for yourself.
If you think that now the time is over and there is no coming out of this and you want to just pass quietly, it is perfectly all. I mean, it is subjective.
Yeah,
It is subjective. The person, say if there are some, the terminal diseases are there. And nothing is going to come out of it now. You may be in the last stage. And then if you don't want to be on the support system and things like that, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's subjective. It is all subjective.
Because the example I see in Mahabharata is Bhishma Pitama, right? So he had decided that this is not the right time for him to die. So he was on the Sharashaya till Uttarayan comes, and then he let go. But he was a very exalted soul, and he could do that.
Yeah,
Rest
we
of
cannot
us,
be on Sharashaya.
So rest of us, we are deciding in advance how things should be done when we cannot decide for ourselves.
He was an extremely learned person and extremely powerful. He knew all this, so he could wait for Uttarayana to come and all that. Where do we know all this? And where do we have that power also to withstand all that pain and everything?
Because nowadays this is done primarily to free the rest of the family members from making that hard decision. So one is making decision for oneself in advance. That way people don't have regrets later on. Oh, we let them go too soon. Maybe a miracle will come around and they will come back and things like that. So it's always the very fine line for them. But once you decide, I don't know it is right to take your own life or not, but that is what it is. Not exactly in suicide sense, but this is still advanced directive, right?
It is up to the person. Okay, shall we now conclude with small bhajan? You all repeat, okay? You can close the light, switch off the lights. Om dhimiki dhimiki dhim, dhimiki dhimiki dhim, nache Bholanath. Om Om dhimiki dhimiki dhim, dhimiki dhimiki dhim, nache Bholanath. 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 Om dhimiki dhimiki dhim, dhimiki dhimiki dhim, nache Bholanath. Nath. Mridanga bole Shiva 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 Om. Mridanga bole Shiva 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 Om. Damaru bole Hara 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 Om. Damaru bole Hara 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 Om. Veena bole Hari Om Hari Om. Veena bole Hari Om Hari Om. Nache Bholanath. Nache Bholanath. Nache Bholanath. Nache Bholanath. Nache Bholanath. Om dhimiki dhimiki dhim, dhimiki dhimiki dhim, nache Bholanath. Om dhimiki dhimiki dhim, dhimiki dhimiki dhim, Lanath. Om dhimiki dhimiki dhim, dhimiki dhimiki dhim, nache Bholanath. Om dhimiki Bholanath. Mridanga bole Shiva 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 Om. Mridanga bole Damaru bole Hara 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 Om. Veena bole Hari Om Hari Om. Hari Om Hari Om. Nache Bholanath. नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ, नाचे भोलानाथ। ओम धिमिकी धिमिकी धिम, धिमिकी धिमिकी धिम, नाचे भोलानाथ। नाचे ओम पूर्णमतः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।